Welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome back, everybody, to the first episode discussing in response to the first episode of The House of Dragon.
Hey everyone, Editor Nelson here. Jeff and I were really excited when we recorded this, so we didn't really do a proper introduction, so I'll explain what's going on. This first part of this podcast, we're not going to have any spoilers for the books, the main Song of Ice and Fire series, or anything Fire and Blood or future House of the Dragon. I have read Fire and Blood, so know some of the major plot points that'll happen later in the show. Jeff has not, but the first part of this podcast will be spoiler-free, completely for future House of the Dragon stuff. It'll be mainly based for people who have seen the show, not read the books, not read Fire and Blood. All you know is the previous show. That'll be the first section. We'll let you know. There'll be a spoiler alert warning. Then we'll start talking about some of the stuff that maybe relates to more of the main Song of Ice and Fire series, and not so much the show, more the books, but still we'll stay out of Fire and Blood. No future House of the Dragon stuff, because Jeff will stay with me for that. Then for the last few minutes of the podcast, Jeff will hop off and I'll talk about some stuff that relates to Fire and Blood and future plot points. Again, for that, we'll give you a spoiler alert before that happens so that you don't listen to anything you don't want to. But here we go, jumping into the real thing. Take it away.
Nels, how amped up are you?
I am ecstatic. I think it was freaking awesome. But I'm wondering how you liked it, because I feel like I wouldn't have liked it nearly as much if I didn't know it was coming.
So,
or like if I wouldn't have read the books. Were you following everything?
I want to make a couple things. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good start.
So hold on, before we get into anything, let's just say you haven't read the books.
I haven't read Fire and Blood.
I have. Jeff has read all of A Song of Ice and Fire. He knows that shit pretty good. He's seen the TV show. He's basically done everything except for Fire and Blood, and I'm into it all big time.
Nelson's a big old nerd.
Just in case anyone who's listening hasn't listened before. The other thing. This first part, there's going to be absolutely no spoilers for Fire and Blood. So if no spoilers for future House of the Dragon. Even though I've read it, I'm not going to be spoiling anything for Jeff. So
yeah, because I don't know. Good. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be spoiling anything. I might stay on after you leave and talk about some extra stuff. But
I thought it was good. Like, I don't know how anybody that doesn't understand what's going on would think it's amazing yet. Like, it's good. It's obviously great because we're back in Westeros and there's dragons flying around and you get the feeling. But as a storyline, like, it's good. The beginning of a great storyline. There's a couple of reasons why, other than just, like, it's going to be war in Westeros. But, like, if you're a casual fan, which I consider myself, and you watch that episode, you can't be geeked up for really anything more than it just being Game of Thrones being back.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think there's probably many people who watch that who haven't watched Game of Thrones. So I think we're good to do that. So again, I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do this. I'm so excited, so I'm trying to get my headspace right. We literally hit record as soon as we're done watching it. So I think the first part, like, we have a bunch of friends who haven't read the books, but they've seen the show, right? Again, I don't think there's going to be much book talk here, but we'll try and keep it to no spoilers for the books, but assuming that anybody at this point would have seen the normal Game of Thrones series.
Yeah.
And again, there won't be any spoilers for future episodes of House of the Dragon. If there is anybody, I know that we have some fans who have read Fire and Blood. I might stay on after Jeff, and I'm so fired up right now. I might talk. Hopefully I don't talk for 2 hours after you get off. But
like our one friend, Nels, he wrote immediately in our group chat, that was awesome. Like, I'm just trying to think in his point of view, what was awesome about it. Like, it just has to be that it's back.
So for you, what did you like it?
I do. I'm excited for it.
But you're saying it's not awesome. It looks like a good start. Like
it looks like a good start. Absolutely, it's a great start. It looks like it's because I know kind of where it's going. I don't know the details of it, but I kind of obviously there's a civil war coming, right? We know it's going to be uncle versus niece, and that's going to be cool because there's obviously there's dragons and blah blah blah. But if you don't know anything, it's like, wow, like, it's back, basically. That's what you're excited about. Let's be honest. You're excited because it's back.
That's not what I'm excited about.
I know that.
And this is why I'm glad you haven't seen it, because I'm afraid I have Game of Thrones Season 8 syndrome, where, like you're saying, it's just back. It's been 2 years, right? That's what happened with Season 8.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for Winds of Winter for 10 years by the time Season 8 came out, right? We've been waiting for any Game of Thrones TV for 2 years at that point because it was an extra long break, right, between 7 and 8. And then we get it. And you can go back and watch on this channel, watch our reaction to it. We're all geeked up about it.
Am I afraid to be geeked up right now? I'm not. I am geeked up. I think it was good.
I think it's good, and that's exactly what I was wondering. I was like, would you be super geeked up if you're not like me? Like, so for me, like for example, let's start talking about some stuff. There's the scene where he's like starts chopping off hands and he's in charge of the city watch and he starts chopping off hands and ball sacks and killing people. Right in Fire and Blood, there's just 2 lines where it's like, oh, when he became Captain City Watch, he like ruled with an iron fist, like he would geld rapists but like they said like he would geld rapists and chop off hands and kill murderers, but you don't think that there's like this like event where he does it to like
like the opening night of the City Watch.
And there's to the show, there's so many like callbacks to the show, like when the hands tourney is about to happen, right? And this might be a little bit more of a book thing, but like when the hands tourney is about to happen, Janos Slint comes to the council chamber. I'm so fired up right now, and he's guys,
you need to take a deep breath.
There's people running through the streets like killing people, right? He's like, there's so many, like it's running rampant because of this tournament, the hands tournament,
right?
And that has to be a parallel on purpose.
Okay,
right? That has to be a parallel.
I can see that for sure. I mean, they're saying that the city is in decline for a little bit now, so it makes sense that by the time it's even worse. But
there's just so many parallels. I feel like for the major fans, right? Like most people won't pick up on that. I feel like that's intentional. Go ahead.
Let me just tell you what
I gotta take a breath.
There's some things that
I got a whole list of notes here. First off, no intro.
I took notes too. And the Game of Thrones song. I told you it'd just be the Game of Thrones song at the end. It was literally that.
I don't even know if I listened to the credits.
The credits song was da-na-na-na-na-na. I called that.
I had to pee in the middle of it. I'm dog sitting, so
You're
I had to pause it. I had to
pee.
Pause it a few times and like take care of this dog, and I had to get up and get a few beers. So.
I thought it was hard to understand them at times. Like there was some mumbling going on. Like I almost wanted to turn on closed captioning.
I'm a huge nerd, so as soon as she like the very first scene that's not Harrenhal, right? She lands the dragon outside the dragon pit.
Yeah.
And the dragon, there's like dragon tamers.
Yeah.
Like there's people who like take care of the dragon. They start speaking Valyrian.
Sure.
And I didn't know what they were saying, so I immediately turned on subtitles, like a huge nerd, to try and like, again, it's just a Valyrian word, and I don't know what that means, but at least I was seeing it.
There's a couple people that were like, Rhaenyra was pretty hard to understand at times.
Okay. I turned on subtitles because of the Valyrian early on. I know there's probably subtitles for the Valyrian anyway, but not for the dragon tamers at the very beginning. I'm a huge dork.
The Kingsguard guy that was talking to Rhaenyra, like their conversation at times, like I was picking up like a word at a time. I'm like, what the fuck are they saying? Like it was either like mumbled. I thought I had the volume up on it. I don't know. I'm like, I might just have to rewatch it just to hear the details of the word. So that was like one thing I was like, some of these conversations are getting lost on me because they don't sound great.
Okay.
But then, it's cool. Like the visuals are cool. The tourney was cool.
Along that side is like on the visuals. One of the things that I had heard people say who had seen season 1 or had seen episode 1 already was that like it just feels more Westeros. Like it's so good to be back, and it feels more Westeros than ever. And I get that with like the shots of King's Landing, like overhead, like it just feels like it doesn't feel as built up. It feels
different
newer.
Shots, like the one angle of
towards the
like
sea
going through probably Flea Bottom to like that. I feel like it's always the other way. Like you get the castle, then Flea Bottom's out in the background, you know.
Yeah, and then Harrenhal. Like I was hoping we'd get more Harrenhal.
So is that Harrenhal after the dragon burned Harrenhal to the fucking ground?
At the very beginning, it's still post burning, but it's like where all those lords are. It's the only castle big enough. That's the Hall of 100 Hearths, the one right there, which Harry's to the beginning.
It's pretty cool that it's like holes in it and shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it too. Not a big fan of the throne. I think the throne looks stupid.
I wasn't even really thinking about it. My head was racing so much. So like again, without getting into spoilers for Fire and Blood, like, they did change stuff. Like timeline was different. Like everything that happened in this episode happened in like a few days, but in the books it happens over the course of like 7 years, I think. So like immediately they're like 9 years later. I'm like, wait a minute, so much stuff happens within before 9 years after he starts taking over.
Yeah.
Like in the books, his wife just like the death of his wife like just happens earlier. Right. It happens 2 years into his reign. I'm like, wait a minute, this is 9 years later. So his wife's dead, and then like his wife's dead. I'm like, wait, no, it's not. So like stuff like that. Again, at the beginning,
are you mad about that? Are you mad about that?
I'll have to think about it. So one of the things is the way that they played this off. So hold on. There's some stuff that I'll need to get.
I've got notes too.
My phone is blowing up. Like everyone knows I'm the Game of Thrones guy, so I'm just getting.
You need to just mute it. Just mute it.
I flipped it over. I can't see it. I just want to go through this. So yeah, how about this? The cut from the throne.
Cool.
Right. So I don't know if this is in the show at all. It's like again, this is a thing that's mentioned in the books every once in a while, that like the throne is dangerous and like you can get cut, because again, in the books, the throne's actually huge. So yeah, like how, again, it's a real quick scene, but the Macer's like taking a look at this cut on Viserys' back.
I don't think that's a cut. I don't think that's a cut from the throne.
They said it was a cut from the throne.
I think it's something different.
At first I thought it was grayscale, but then
I think he's got something. I think he's sick. I don't know. I think he died. He's gonna die from that thing on his back.
In the book series, there's like, they talk about how like kings who aren't worthy will get cut from the Iron Throne and then die from infection from it, from a small cut on their hand or something like that. And that's why like you see him get cut when he's like yelling at Daemon, like, you're not the heir at the end. So I think I agree with what you're saying, but also I think it originated from the throne. It's kind of like, oh, the throne doesn't.
Sure. Yeah, that's gonna be his doom. Whatever's on his back.
Yeah.
Okay, first thing I saw, she hops off the dragon, dressed exactly like Dany, season 8.
Was she? I didn't even think about that.
Like white jacket, kind of like the same button. Like from the back, you think it's Daenerys.
Yeah. Yeah.
One other question: was the queen his sister?
No.
Okay. She just had white hair?
She was a Targaryen. Her mom was a Targaryen. Yeah, her dad was an Aaron, and her mom was a sister to Viserys' dad.
A couple questions about Rhaenyra. All right. Big parallel. She wants to be a knight, kind of like Arya. She's being Arya.
There's huge Arya vibes early on. Yeah, for sure.
Another, just, I don't know. She made the comment to the Hightower girl that all she wanted to do was ride around with her. And is it like kind of
a sexual thing?
Is it a sexual thing?
I got a little bit of that too. I'm not sure. So again, this is one thing that's very different from the books. In the books, Alicent, who's the Hightower girl, is much older. She's like 8 years older than her, so they're not really friends. Like they're both in court together, but they're not really like friends at all.
So that's not like her gene pool of like Sansa. Like they're not actual. Like
no, and again, it's like I think the Hightower girl's age is pretty right. That what's actually different is
Rhaenyra should be super young.
Should be younger, but again, like she should be younger when she becomes heir. But she becomes heir in 105 AC in the book, and this takes place in 112.
Was it 112?
This is 7 years later.
Yeah. All right, those were just some early Rhaenyra things.
So the one thing I did while we're on the Hightower girl, she's got like this nail bitey thing. Again, I feel like it just kind of makes her. It's like a weird trait. It just kind of makes her relatable. Yeah. Like I had a girlfriend that did this. And her mom would like, not in like a mean way, but her mom would be like, stop putting your nails.
Humble brag, you had a girlfriend one time?
Yeah, I had a girlfriend one time, but way back in the day. High school girlfriend.
She would just be nervous watching you perform in middle school basketball. They're just like brutally killing people in this tourney.
Dude, yeah, so that's another thing. So like in the books, real quick tangent, Preston Jacobs, most people aren't going to know who he is. He's a Game of Thrones theorist. He had like one of his big things from the book was like there's a story that Kristen Cole knocks Dark Sister from Daemon's hand. Right, Dark Sister is a Valyrian steel sword.
Right. Why does he have the Valyrian steel sword and not the king?
They both have Valyrian steel swords. There's two, Dark Sister and Blackfire.
Gotcha.
So the king has one too.
Okay.
But in Blackfire, it's like the sword of kings. That's like it signifies you're the king. So
gotcha. That's the one he's holding all the time.
The Dark Sister is Visenya's sword. So Aegon the Conqueror's sister, Visenya's sword. They talk about her a little bit here as like the kind of fiery one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the books, he knocks Dark Sister from his hand in this tournament, and it's a big deal. But like Preston Jacobs is like, why the fuck is he using Dark Sister in a tournament? Like everyone else should be using like blunted swords, and he's using a Valyrian steel sword. Like what an asshole! Right. In the books, this isn't a melee. This isn't in like a So in the books, Christian Cole wins in the joust and then beats him. So in the melee. Just combine them. So he does both. Right. Here they combined them. Makes total sense.
We knew from joust, like if you get knocked off, you could turn it into a fight. That's like Dunk and Egg-ish.
Yeah. While we're on the tourney topic, the one thing I want to say is one of the minuses for the episode is, and again, the tourney looks sick. So one of the things is Christian Cole. So he's the one who fights Daemon in this.
Yeah, the Mystery Knight.
Yeah. He's known for using a flail, Morning Star, whatever the hell that is. George calls it the wrong thing, so it doesn't even matter. George literally always calls it the wrong thing. It's either a flail or a Morning Star. I think it's a Morning
Star, I'm pretty sure.
Because a flail...
I don't know what a flail is. I've heard of a Morning Star.
The thing with the spike ball on the end of the chain is good because when it wraps around a shield, it'll like the spikes will latch into the other side, and then you can like pull and yank the shield away.
Yeah.
But these shields were like
they shattered in a heartbeat.
Breakaway shields. Like,
yeah.
It's like plywood. It's like not a good shield. So again, I get it. It's like cool for the visuals, but I think it'll be way cooler if he like. Because one of the good things, the things that like a Morningstar is actually good at is like wrapping, and that's how he
wrapped around the sword, right?
That's how he got the sword away. So yeah, it was cool. That scene was like intense. Just flashing between the
C-section and
the birthing bed was so much worse than like men getting their heads smashed off by flails. Like I was literally like looking away when they would flash back to Emma Aaron.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't pretty. It was. I'm glad they didn't show like more of the C-section.
Yeah, so this episode leaked, and I had seen, again, because I'm not too afraid of spoilers because I've read this, I was, like, looking at some stuff on social media today, and I'd seen that, like, some people were confused that, like, wait, where's the son? Right? Like, she gave birth to the baby.
Yeah. I was waiting for how he would die, right? Because if there's a son, then there's no story. So he had to die.
So you knew he had to die, but like they didn't show it. But did you see the camera pan down and show like the little body next to her pyre?
Yeah. I saw that.
Okay. Apparently people missed that.
Well, then you're a fool. You're a fool. You weren't watching it. If you missed that, you're a fool. You need to pay more attention.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I literally was like, oh shit, there he is. Like I was waiting for him. I don't know the timeline, but you would have thought like if it played with the King's heart a little bit. Like he was like actually healthy because they go through like she had 2 stillbirths and like 2 miscarriages, right? So
yeah, I
mean the heir for a day. I mean it starts the whole thing. Calling him the heir for the day is what strikes up the conflict. So
again, I don't know. I have a theory on this that like he did it all on purpose, right? Like he overheard the council chamber. He knew that there was a debate, and he holds this huge meeting.
Yeah.
And after remember, and because during
he knew at that point he wasn't going to be the heir.
Well, no, I think at that point he knew Viserys had a decision to make. Am I going to pick Daemon or Rhaenyra? Right? Because he had overheard the council talking about this.
Yeah.
Like, who's the heir? Right. He was overhearing on that, right?
Right.
But right before that scene, during the Emma Aaron funeral, like she's crying and she said something like, "My dad will never be happy." Right. Yeah. And it gives you this like viewpoint that she has this like, my dad doesn't love me because I'm not a son.
Right. For sure.
I get this view that Daemon is like, feels bad about that.
Yeah.
And one of the things in that council chamber, Viserys says like, Otto's like, Daemon's ambitious.
Yeah.
And Viserys like, he doesn't want the throne.
He's lazy or he's impatient.
He's ambitious, but he doesn't want the throne. He just like wants.
Yeah, he's too impatient for the throne. He wants to just run around and do shit.
And Otto says the quote from the trailer, which was like, they haven't made a man patient enough to not want the Iron Throne or something like that.
Like power, just like ultimate power.
But when Viserys says he doesn't want the throne, it cuts to Daemon and he like smirks. I don't think Daemon. And again, like we don't know in the books. Like Daemon, it seems like Daemon wants the throne. I don't think he does. I don't think he actually does.
That smirk was like, what do you mean I don't want the throne? Like he's literally like,
no, I think it's like my brother knows me, and then I think he goes and holds this thing.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Okay. This is just a theory, and again,
like multiple times he hangs on to being the heir. Yeah, I mean, it could
be. What you're saying is 100% how it's presented in the books. They say that he's overheard.
Why does he care so much about being the heir if he doesn't care about being king? That's the only reason you'd want to be the heir.
What do you mean? The only time he said he wanted to be heir was at the very end in the meeting with Viserys.
Multiple times he said, "I'm your heir."
But in the meeting at the end, after what we're talking about.
No, when he was on the throne, when Rhaenyra walks into him in the throne room.
Or he says, like, I could sit here one day.
Blah blah blah. I'm the next one that's gonna sit here. He says there. He says obviously at the end when he has the red sleeves on, like, what do you mean? I'm your heir. And like his whore that I guess is gonna become his concubine is like, oh, don't worry, you're still the heir. So like obviously he's talked to her about being the heir.
Was that at the very end? I might have missed.
No, like the middle.
Oh, in the middle,
like the bang session. Then he's like covers himself up with a blanket because he's sad.
So okay, yeah. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying though? That he might have done it. That he might have done this on purpose.
I mean, I'm not going to throw it out of all realm of possibility. It's just not the vibe I got.
Okay, cool. I'm totally with it.
One thing I do like was the relationship between the two, Rhaenyra and Daemon. They like each other. They genuinely like each other.
Yeah, it looks so good. Yeah, it's like a cute like you can tell he like wants to take care of it. He brings her like the necklace, right? Like again, there's like a line in the book that says like he takes some stuff.
She like jokes with him and whatnot, and
he asked for her friend's favor in the tournament.
It obviously set up that she doesn't have a great relationship with her dad.
Yeah.
Like the dad was probably doing king shit and she was probably chilling with Damon and like,
which is so weird because like you're 100% right. And like the book makes that seem very opposite. Like they say that like, oh, the father loved her so much he named her as cupbearer, right? And we see her as cupbearer.
I feel like that's like not a cool thing to be like.
And her name is the Realm's Delight. In the books, it makes it seem like you're right. In the books, it makes it seem like he dotes on her, like he really likes her. But I think you're 100% right. In this,
so far, until the end, he hasn't really given her too much love.
Well, he just wants a son, and he's like upset with it, right? So yeah, cool. So last thing, do you have anything else?
I've got a couple things. Littlefinger's dagger. Yeah.
So this is the one thing I really didn't like. The one thing I didn't like was when they said A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
There was a couple times where I was like, Nelson's not going to like that. Did you care for the prophecy of the long night?
So we had talked about this a little bit in our pre-thing. I said that this kind of leaked. And I was hoping about this. So I have a huge problem with this just because, at least in Fire and Blood, Aegon never goes to the wall, right? So Aegon conquers Westeros and he like goes to White Harbor and he goes to River Run and he eventually goes to Winterfell 20 years, I think maybe 30 years after he conquers, and he never goes to the wall. Like, okay,
the wall was built that much beforehand.
It was built thousands and thousands of years beforehand, right? So, but you would think if Aegon had this theory, like this. So again, I'm 100% cool with him like conquering because of this theory,
right?
Or because of this dream. But the dream has to be more vague. It has to be like, oh, there's a threat that's going to come.
Yeah, I mean, they literally poured it out that the dark cold from the north is.
Then wouldn't Aegon have gone north? Like, but he doesn't. So like again. I was cool
it wasn't ready
but
yet.
It needs
it wasn't
to be
ready.
like, oh, a bad thing's gonna come, like a bad thing's gonna attack Westeros and need to be united. If that's what it was, and it was that vague, cool, because then there's a reason why he doesn't go to the north. I've heard people talk about this and say that he destroys, like he burns everyone. And what's the one thing we know about the north? And let's see, a little trivia for Jeff. What happens when Aegon conquers in the north? Like he burns all these castles in the south, and the Northmen were coming down to fight Aegon. And he meets them at there's just a place in the Riverlands. In the books, there's an inn named after it.
The Crossroads.
The Inn of the Kneeling Man. Give you a little hint.
Okay, that's where.
So Torrhen Stark is called the king who knelt.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where he meets Aegon and he kneels, right? And the books make it seem like, oh, he knelt because Aegon had just fucking burned the shit. Out of all these other castles in the south.
Do you think he just told him the prophecy?
I've heard a theory. I think it's Joe Magician. Again, I'm trying to give credit to people. Joe Magician on YouTube, good theories. I think he says that potentially he knelt because Aegon's like, yo, dude, you might already know about this. You
already know winter's coming. I'm with you, but I have a couple dragons and you don't, so you're gonna kneel to me.
So that's an explanation too why maybe he wouldn't go to the wall. Torrhen's like, cool, you leave me alone. We got this on lockdown. At that time, all the castles are manned, all 19 or 16 or whatever. So it's like, we're good. You just leave us the fuck alone and take care of shit down there and we'll be good up here.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't like how it seems like they might be trying to, and again, I'll have to think about it, but if they're trying to say like it seems like when he tells Rhaenyra this thing, like, I bet you in episode 2, we're going to see Rhaenyra with his dagger. Right. And like when he hands off this secret, like, cause he's holding the dagger when he's telling her this prophecy. And I get this thing like, oh, this dagger,
there's going to be something in like the hilt of the dagger.
There was already in the trailer. You can see a thing where they're holding it over a flame and
it like created a shadow or something.
Letters are lighting up in the blade. Right.
It says something.
So like this. Yeah. This is like a symbol. It says like A Song of Ice and Fire or whatever. And he's like passing this off to her. I'll have to think about like how that relates to the show. Yeah. Right. And like, what did I tell you in the pre-show? Like, I want them to hope that the fucking Game of Thrones TV show, and again, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just so different from the books. And George is trying to say that like this is canon to the books.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to say this is canon to the books, then in my mind, you have to let go of the show.
I mean,
you have to let go of the original Game of Thrones in terms of trying to be connected. Yeah. And and the dagger is a thing that they're telling me they're trying to be connected.
But they're
trying to say that like this prophecy is the thing that turned Bran into. Like, again, like, think about that. Like, this prophecy from Aegon, if like this dagger is a symbol for this prophecy, then that is what turned Bran to the three-eyed raven who eventually becomes the king. And like, You know what I mean? Like, and Arya ends up killing the Night King with this dagger, with the dagger that is the prophecy. Like, again, they're trying to retroactively make season 8 better.
Yeah, like this dagger meant so much that Arya had it and she had to kill the Long Night.
And I don't like that. Like, the episode was so good at when they're doing that. I'm just like,
don't be too geeked up. We don't know if they're actually trying to do that or not.
That's where my head's at. But you know what I'm saying.
All right. One more thing for the show, because you had mentioned it, I believe, in the preview episode.
Okay.
The pool balls at the council table.
Yeah.
How they kind of check in.
Yeah.
When he got up pissed off because of that conversation, he left his pool ball there. Nobody grabbed.
I wasn't even listening.
The king. The king. He walked away and his guard walked away without, because he didn't actually put it down himself, right?
Yeah.
The king's guard put it in. And they all walked out without picking it up.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, council was still in session and they started fucking talking. They started talking behind his back.
That's a good call. I like that. The other thing is, I like how on like related to the pool balls, like they made it again. At least what I was seeing is like Damon never shows up to council meetings, right? He's kind of like Robert. He just doesn't show up.
But he's like sleeking in the background.
Well, so the one time though, Viserys and Otto are walking in, and Otto's like, "You should have heard what your fucking brother did yesterday." And that's the one day he's there. Like, I think he knows. He knows how the politicking works. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, he knew what he did in that brothel will get heard. Right? That's kind of
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
I think he's like, at this point, he's like, fuck it. They don't want me. I'm going to make them want me even less. And I'm just going to revolt. Like, that's his mindset, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think it's against Rhaenyra. I think it's against Viserys. And then Viserys is going to die, right? At some point, Viserys is going to die. I don't know how long. It could be at the end of the season. It could be next episode, at the beginning of next episode. At some point, it's obviously a civil war between the two, and the king's not going to be alive for that civil war to happen. So
we're getting on to points where if I say anything, I'll just be spoiling it.
Yeah. Other show stuff. Wait, the 2 dragons. We only saw 2, or was that the mother's dragon that burned her? Whose dragon was that?
The mother didn't have a dragon. That was Rhaenyra's.
Xerxes or whatever his name was.
Cyrax or Cyrax. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but those are the 2. Like that's how.
Wait, what was the baby's name? Balon. He was. Dude, they like mumbled the name. Like I couldn't even. I thought. I was like, is it Magar? Is it Balon? It does matter, right? Okay.
Anything else?
The dragons were super cool.
Yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan of Caraxes, and again, we didn't get too much of it. He was the dragon at the very end, Damon's dragon, the red one. Did you see what I'm talking about? Like his back fins?
Yeah.
His back legs have that like weird fin.
I mean, he was super slithery. Yeah, he was super slithery.
Oh,
what's his nickname?
So
the
bloodworm.
Bloodworm. Is his face? I'm just trying to see, like, now that you said that there's a horse face.
So those 2 are the first one.
They're both wolf faces.
Hers was a horse, I think.
I'm not seeing it.
It's got like the.
I'm not seeing it.
It's got like the horns that like go straight back. It's more sleek. Where his like horns, like Cyrax's horns, like come.
Yeah.
I don't know how horns relate to a horse or dog, but like Cyrax's horns come out more, and hers like. I think it's like they definitely look different.
Yeah.
Hers wings attached to its legs, and his like.
Right.
So the Cyrax looks so cool, dude. Cyrax again because. Cyrax is gonna be everyone's favorite. I mean, I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of cool.
The Black Dread skull,
cool,
huge. I mean, it was huge, huge.
Because you think like when you put skin on that, it's even like
and muscles and shit.
I'm so excited. This like I can't. There's no way I'm sleeping tonight.
I'm curious to see what this Rhaenys. You remember I told you that Rhaenys girl and the Valerian dude,
Corlys. Yep,
Corlys. They're gonna be the little finger of this whole deal.
So again, another prediction.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I guess I can't say that.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that.
They're gonna be in the back.
Like, so like some predictions I can make. Like the one I made today. Like it's like in the books. It's what you're saying. Like in the books, what they say about this is there's a huge fight between the king and his brother after he says heir for a day, and either a gold cloak captain or a whore from the brothel overheard and reported on him. That's all it says.
Yeah.
But I think that he like does it on purpose. Right?
Sure, he sends the message. I believe you. I'm not fighting you there.
What do you mean?
Like, I could see him wanting to. I think he is setting.
Like,
it
I
up.
got you, sis.
Obviously, he wasn't in. He's there at the council meeting, but he didn't want to be seen there because he wanted to hear what people were saying about him.
Yes.
and he's like, oh, fuck these guys, they don't like me, like whatever, I don't like them either.
Let me think about any other characters that I kind of want to get your take on.
I don't really trust Otto Hightower either. He's trying to pimp out his daughter.
One thing I'm super interested in Otto Hightower that's not in the books at all, not even mentioned, is like this thing about his wife, right? Like Daemon prods him about his wife, and
she died.
Alicent mentioned something about Alicent's his daughter. She mentioned something about his wife.
Yeah.
Last thing we can do before we hop off is my phone is blowing up, but we have a group chat with a bunch of friends from college. None of them, I don't think anything that's in here is book spoiler, right? I was gonna say maybe we read some of these funny things that people are like. You're saying you're a common, like an average fan. You know more Game of Thrones than 95% of Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah.
So like these are comments from actual people who have just seen the show, right? Like, again, they're some of them are vulgar. like our one friend said, how about that dude who was soaking inside that woman when the king's brother made that speech in the brothel? So
I missed it. I completely missed that.
When he's talking about the heir for a day, and and the woman's like, everyone shut up. In the middle of the room, there's just a dude like fucking, and like when he says everyone shut up, like he just like stops, but he's like,
and just stays in.
Stays in. So in case you guys don't know, that soaking is something that the Zoomers do, I think, where they just insert and lay there with no motion, right? That's soaking. I think that's what he's referencing. I think that's a thing, a Zoomer thing. So because this guy just said to stop. The one thing that one of our friends says, I thought he was gonna bang out the hand of the king's daughter.
I did too.
Who?
I thought the king was gonna bang out Hightower's daughter
when she goes to read to him.
Yeah, because I know at some point they're like, it's your job. You're the king. You need to have an heir, and it just kind of makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense because it'd have to be married or it'd be a bastard, but. In Hightower's mind, like, I have a young daughter who's probably fertile. Let's get her with the king now.
Yep.
She'll give him at least one, and problem solved.
Yeah.
And maybe I do think they might still be laying that groundwork. I really do.
I'm going to bring that up in the next section, which isn't even a spoiler, but there's a character in the books who kind of, in the show too, they don't really talk about it in the books, who kind of does a similar thing. But
so I was like, oh, there it is. Because I know there's a point where, again, I don't know who it is in the trailer, but they're like, it's your job as the king to have an heir. They're obviously not talking about Rhaenyra. Maybe it's Daemon and it's the concubine that's talking to him, but
well, that scene was.
I know there's a brown-haired girl, and I'm pretty sure it's her that becomes more important.
Okay, well, so one thing I was gonna say is that scene, like, I just thought it was like super genuine. There's a few of our friends are saying they thought that was like what you're saying, and it makes sense based on Otto.
Yeah, he was a little creepy. It was almost like he planned it before.
But what she said to him was like
real. Yeah, it was real.
It's like the most real thing I've like. Anytime you've ever talked to somebody who just like suffered a huge loss, you never know what the fuck to say to them. That's exactly what she's like. She's like, everyone's probably speaking in riddles. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry.
Don't tell me she's in a better place or anything like that. Just say you're sorry.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Like, it was just a super real scene, and I was like, I don't know. That was the only thing that made me like emotional.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think.
I was just
I think I think she was fine. I thought Otto was kind of creepish.
Yeah.
Like, sending her there in the middle of the night is weird. Telling her to put her mom's dress on, super weird.
Yeah. Again, a little throwback for the fans. Again, I'll mention it in the next one. So yeah. Anything else you got to say?
No, I'm good.
Next thing we'll be doing is book spoilers. So if you've read the book series and Dunk and Egg, or don't mind spoilers on the book series or the Dunk and Egg series, stick around and we'll talk about a few more things. And then at the very end, Jeff will hop off and I'll talk about a few last things from a Fire and Blood perspective. Hopefully it doesn't go too long. It's already going a little bit late. But here we go. Spoiler alert, playing now.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! All right, I need to just get this prophecy. Let's just start there because it's the only thing that really. Maybe some other things, but the prophecy of the son coming out wearing the crown.
Yeah.
And I thought this would kind of, maybe you already know about this prophecy, maybe
no,
you don't.
Not at all.
I was thinking, like, is this going to be something that Nelson's going to be pissed about because it's trying to. Okay. Does it because it opens up all kinds of possibilities of who the son is?
Well, because unless I'm missing something, but the only instance we have of something like this, like Danny doesn't ever have any dreams that are like this, but we get dreams like this in Dunk and Egg,
Yeah.
right? Egg's brother Damon in the first Dunk and Egg book, he has this dream of a dragon hatching at the tournament, right?
Or is it a dragon like sitting on something?
I think a dragon hatching is the last one, right? John the Fiddler, that's the one, like the fake Blackfire, John the Fiddler.
Yeah.
He has a vision of a dragon hatching.
Yeah,
and he thinks he's actually going to hatch a dragon egg because the tournament's
but
about
it's actually just a Blackfire comes out, right?
Egg has to reveal himself.
Oh, right.
The dragon egg has to reveal himself to like get the tournament turned out. But there's in the first one, Egg's brother has a tournament about a dragon falling on top of Dunk.
A dream about yes.
A dragon,
which is what happened, and it's,
Dunk catches Bale on Breakspear after he gets hit in the head,
and his brain falls out.
So,
all right, so do you remember what exactly was said?
So let's think about both of those visions, right? So he's
right.
like, a dragon fell on you, but like it's not the way you think. And again, like let's think about some jraijin visions here. Like the ones we just did Clash of Kings for the podcast.
Sure. I mean, it's not straightforward. It's not straightforward.
Exactly.
So, do you know exactly what was said? I know it was like our son will be born wearing Aegon's crown.
And then I place my son on at the sound of thundering hooves. I place my son on the Iron Throne. It's basically like what's in the trailer. Let me pull it up quick and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I remember.
Because you don't like. You're thinking the same thing I am, that some of this prophecy probably, or some of this dream has happened already, but not the entire dream.
Or it's not his son. Or it's not his son. It could be like his great-grandson or something like that.
The dream. It was clearer than a memory. Our son was born wearing Aegon's crown. When I heard the sound of thundering hooves, splintering shields and ringing swords, and I placed our son upon the Iron Throne. As the bells of the grand set tolls, and all over dragons roared as one.
The bells. You didn't want to hear the bells.
All the dragons roared as one, and the bells. But there's only one dragon.
It's Danny and Jon. It's Danny and Jon.
But that doesn't happen. Like
the bells toll, and Aegon's there, which is Jon. Jon's Aegon.
Aegon's crown.
Aegon's crown.
And all the dragons roared as round. I don't know. I bet you this is related to this show. I hope it is.
I was just curious if it was like, if it's a long call out, just like, because the only other dream that we heard of is obviously the Long Night, which is going to be in 179 years or whatever it takes, 180 plus years. So who knows? I'm kind of curious if there's another Green Seer type, like maybe he has another dream. I want him to have another dream, and I want to try to interpret that one.
Again, I'm 100% on with this. Again, I want dream stuff to be confined to the show, and I'm cool with it. Like, don't reach too far into my books, and don't try and save the old series. And I'm all for it. And I'm hoping that's what this dream is, but we'll see.
I don't think there's any possible way to really save the old series. It's impossible. I mean,
don't
it is
you
what
think
it
they're
is.
trying a little bit with the dagger work there at the end?
I don't know. I have to see where the dagger goes. If the dagger becomes like the most important thing in this show,
so listen to this.
Then if that's the most important thing in this show, like she needs the dagger, like the dagger becomes the important part of being the king, then yeah, I'll agree with you, because then Arya gets it and the whole deal, we know. But
listen to this. So one of the big Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire creators, History of Westeros, they just got a exclusive interview with George, apparently like hour and a half. It hasn't got posted yet, but I've heard a few people talking about like how they just got this interview, and they did it at George's house, and above George's door, like when you're walking into George's house, above his front door
the dagger
is Arya's dagger, which again isn't even in the book series.
What do you mean?
The cat's paw dagger, like again, maybe it comes up again later. Like
maybe Arya doesn't have it yet. But
I didn't think it was like an important thing that like we're gonna see again.
Who gives it to Arya?
I don't even know who has it. Like I don't even know who has it right now. Like
it's got to be Littlefinger. Littlefinger has it.
Where we're at.
How does Arya get it?
Bran gives it to her in the show. Littlefinger gives it to Bran. Bran gives it to her. He's like, I don't need it.
Yeah, Littlefinger has it for sure.
Yeah. One of the other things, back to the show, a little Dunk and Egg related, how when Damon comes out, for some reason it doesn't make sense, but when Damon comes out, he gets to pick his
who he goes against
the shield
first.
of who he goes against. Like the Dunk and Egg tournament's like there's 7 champions, you get to pick it up.
Right. You kind of line up against the one you wanted to go against.
There was a part where I'm thinking like they're planning on doing a Dunk and Egg show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like two of the big, again, not two of the big, but like one of the big moments of the first Dunk and Egg novella is like when Arya Brightflame does the cheap trick with the horse in the joust.
Yeah, they threw that in there pretty quick.
And that, again, this isn't in Fire Blood, Daemon doing this, but like he does it here. And again, it's cool how he does it to the High Tower.
Yeah.
Son. Again, none of that was in the books.
Danny was all worried, like, did he die? Did he die? I'm like, Danny, no, he didn't die. Like, they just drug him off. You see him getting drugged off. Like, he was fine.
And the horse was fine too, right?
The horse got up and ran away, which if it would have been like a sharp lance, then I would have been like, oh my God. I thought the same thing.
Well, he didn't hit the horse, right? To me, it looked like he tried to trip the horse.
Tricked it. Yeah, or like he scared the horse into like tripping over itself.
Again, how the fuck did they film that? Did they like... And when he gets on a horse by Kristen Cole and like slides down the banister, like his back's on it.
Yeah,
like,
he got banged up.
The visuals are it looks so badass. One of the other things, a callback, relation to the show, like a parallel, and you might not think about this, but like Rhaegar, a lot of people think that the reason Rhaegar, and some people prophesize that Rhaegar's wife, Elia Martell, told Rhaegar like, because so in Dany, let me try and explain this whole theory. In the Dany House of the Undying dream, there's that part where she sees Rhaegar's like, oh, his like, will you write a song for him? His song is the prince who his song is the song of ice. He is the prince who was promised, and his song is the song of ice and fire. Yeah. Right. People think that was, again, I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but that like conversation that he has, people think that that's with Elia, and we know that Elia had the same problem Emma Arryn has. So in the books, Emma Arryn and Viserys, they marry Emma Arryn to Viserys, and she's too young. She's like 11. And they start trying to have children at 14. And the Maesters say that the reason she has like all these stillbirths and miscarriages is because they start trying to have children too young.
Okay.
In Rhaegar, Elia Martell, there's a point where basically the Maesters say she can't have any more children. Like her last child, like when she had Aegon, the baby, like it was such a terrible labor. They basically, like the conversation she has with Viserys was like, this is my last one. Like there's no more after this. Basically that they had like.
That's the same thing for Rhaegar.
So there's some theories that Elia was like, if you really believe that there's this prophecy where you need 3 children, and I could only give you 2.
You told me this. You go have it with another person.
We have to have talked about it before. Exactly. So again, I just think there's a parallel here between, again, maybe not that point, but like maybe not to like go have it with another person, but like to.
Are you looking for a third dragon? Are you looking for?
I'm just saying. I think there's a parallel between like the.
Yeah, I gotcha. The mothers.
I would have liked if she said that before she got pregnant. Again, I wish they kind of would have spread some of this stuff out a little bit, right? Like if she would have said, I can't have another one, and he would have been like, I need an heir, and then makes her get pregnant, right? This scene would have been like way worse. It was tough to watch when he's like... And
then he killed her. And I mean, he killed her.
It's tough when she's like, it's going to be okay, right? Like, it's going to be okay. And she's like, the Maester's pulling the fucking sword, like the blade out.
They murdered her.
It was rough. Yeah, it's so
I'm curious, so like, I don't know how in this time... Like, obviously, a C-section today, it happens. They can cauterize the wound so it doesn't bleed, right? They were both dying. To the point of the Maester, like, they couldn't have saved.
But the right thing is to ask, they should ask the mom. And again, she'll probably come to the decision that if it's either both of us or the baby, go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
right?
save
most
the baby,
moms would go for that anyway. The fact that they just...
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying...
I know.
They don't have the technology or even the they were like basically like, hey, we heard, kind of like how they save it's like how Sam saves Jorah with Grayscale. It's like, well, this might work, and they're like, oh, we kind of know this technique where we just cut right into her and pull it out.
Yeah,
it might work. Who knows? You know, they have no chance of saving her. So like they couldn't deliver the baby. They're both just gonna die.
Yeah, it's either they both die or the baby dies. Like again, it's an easy. I say it's an easy decision for Viserys, but like it's obviously. I mean, it's tough to say, but it's an easy decision, right? It is an easy decision. Like you either lose both or you potentially get a baby. Like that's the decision. Yeah. But the right answer is don't ask me, ask her, and hopefully she says that. But you know what I mean. But that is a fucking tough scene. Like, and that was again. This would probably mention somewhere in the show, so we might have been able to talk about it in the first section, but like they talk about this in the books like all the time. Like Cersei, this might be in the very next chapter that we do, or maybe 2 chapters from now for our podcast. Like the one where Sansa is in the room with Cersei during the Battle of Blackwater. Cersei's all drunk and she's like, they gave Jaime a sword and like a woman, like the marriage bed is a woman's
Our
battlefield.
battleground. Yeah.
And they're literally, again, they don't say that in this, but that scene, they're cutting back and forth between the tournament,
right,
and the like literally people getting their heads smashed off with maces.
Yeah. And a woman dying on the birthing bed.
It's exactly, again, like I'm getting, and maybe it's because I'm in the middle of Clash of Kings, but I'm getting huge Blackwater vibes. This is literally Sansa in the fucking Cersei room talking about lady shit, and the men out there dying.
Yeah,
I love this show so far, just because every scene seems to parallel something from the books, not from the show. And again, like that's in the show, but not like it's. See, I'm getting the book vibes off this, and I love it. And I'm so scared. I feel like I need you to reel me in, because I'm afraid that episode 9 and 10 are going to come out, and it's going to stray from the books, and Daemon's going to burn all of Westeros. It's not going to make any sense, and so I'm afraid I'm getting season 8. And I need you to kind of keep me reeled back in. But
I mean, it was good. Like, I'm excited for where this is going to go. I want to see, because I know you've told me that there's a time jump. Obviously, Daemon is mounting to go somewhere. He's not going to his wife. Who's his wife? Is she an Aaron? Or is she...
This is one thing that I was going to hope they were going to explore. I was going to say it earlier.
They called her the Bronze something, right?
Bronze. Rhea Royce. So Royce wears bronze armor, which is why she calls her bronze bitch.
And then
he says in the veil. Again, I'm just gritty. There's certain parts that made me grin ear to ear. This whole book is from the point of view of a maester, so we don't get any dialogue. But there's like every once in a while, I'll be like, it is said that when Daemon came back from the veil, he called his wife the bronze bitch and said that in the veil they fuck sheep, but he understands because the sheep are prettier. So like, Daemon says that line. It's like an okay line. And I'm just grinning ear to ear. So I'm like, oh my God, he said, like, again,
dude,
I do the meme all the time, like the Leo, like, he said it, point at exactly, dude. Like, I had that every 2 minutes I had that. Like, I'm so excited for the show. But yeah, so and one thing I mean,
if that's the shit that gets you that excited, you're going to have fun. Like, again, don't be a Star Wars person where you're looking at shit to not like. Just enjoy what's in front of you. That's my biggest thing. If you're looking at this as a point of, I'm going to find a way to nitpick this. And again, the only thing I have to say is I couldn't understand them a couple times. I'm going to have to rewatch it with fucking subtitles because I didn't know words that they said. But enjoy it. It's fucking cool shit. It's a good story. You know?
Yep. Only two last points before I kick you off.
I'm ready.
You were talking about how Otto sends Alicent to Viserys.
Yeah.
I was thinking people compare him to Tywin, because Tywin was the hand for Aerys, and then Tywin tries to get Cersei to marry Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Right. It's not quite the same. Maybe trying to get Cersei to marry Aerys.
Rob or
right. That's what that would be a 1-to-1. Right. Him trying to get his daughter to marry the current king, not the king's son.
Right.
But it's close. Right. It's a similar thing. The hand trying to use his position to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last thing was Maester conspiracy. I'm all over this. And the one thing I don't know if I want to remind you about.
Dude, I didn't even think about watching it from that point of view.
Let me tell you about this to keep an eye on.
The Maester killed this baby probably too.
Well, so I was thinking that's the point I have written down is, would the Maesters kill the baby? But I don't think so, right? Because it does what? It makes it so that Daemon is the heir again. And the Maester did not see.
But they have this civil war plan too. Like, how do you want to kill? It's the first line. It's literally the first line of the show. Jaehaerys knew.
Yeah, the only thing that could take down the dragon family is itself. How does it do that? You pit them against each other. Yeah.
So you have this baby who would be the sole heir. All right, you kill him, and then there's these two people.
There's a look too. The Maester, he's holding the baby. Viserys is crying because Emma just died. Emma's Viserys' wife, and he's holding him. He's like, "What's his name?" And he's like, "Balon." But he goes back to looking at Emma, and the Maester looks at the baby. I was thinking that he wouldn't want to do it.
He killed it.
The Maester seems to not want Daemon, right? So then it goes to the council, and he's like, "We don't want Daemon as heir." So
I don't think
if you kill the baby, you make Daemon heir again. Pretty much, you would think you make Daemon heir, but again,
until they go to the council chamber and they're like, "Hey, we can't have this guy." And again, I don't think the Maesters really care. The Maesters are kind of safe. No one's gonna kill the Maester. They go to war. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right.
So the Maesters are fuck it, whoever wins, we're still the Maester.
Yeah.
So they could start a war. They're going to start the Civil War to have Targaryens kill Targaryens, and maybe nobody's left.
Yeah, again, that's the that's what we're left to assume at the end of the series, right? That's what Maester Marwyn tells Sam. Is like, we basically caused this. Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out on it. And the other thing is high towers, right? There's no high towers in the books really, and there's no high towers in the first show, right?
Yeah.
That's because high towers are from Old Town and from like the world books and stuff. And you'll probably get mention of it eventually, like when the few times we're in Old Town. High towers are like connected to the Citadel in the Faith of the Seven. Like those three things go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Like lamb and tuna fish.
Sure. Peanut butter and ladies.
You don't know it, maybe that's
I don't know what lamb and tuna fish is.
It's the Big Daddy quote.
Oh, really?
They go together like lamb and tuna fish. Lamb and tuna fish? What? You like spaghetti and meatball? You like that analogy better? Yeah, considering we're in America. If you don't like spaghetti and meatball, get the fuck out. I don't think he says fine. I think he says get the hell out.
But yeah, now I don't even remember what I was talking about. What goes together?
High towers, the Citadel, and
the Faith of the Seven. Exactly. So if you'll probably rewatch this at some point. If you do, and anybody again, if you're from the books, if you've read the books already, maybe a little refresher. Keep an eye out for Maesters, right? And keep an eye out for Maesters. I think Maesters are working with Otto, right? It would make like Maesters would be on Otto's side. Think about how when they're at the tournament, the Maester comes up and whispers to Otto and then the Otto whispers to Viserys.
Do you think the baby was actually breached?
That's the like.
What if it wasn't breached? What if it was head first?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what breach meant. Not head first, but
I think it means it's feet first.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I thought you could deliver it. I know it's a lot easier to but I didn't think it was impossible or it was gonna. But maybe it is. I don't know. I think I skipped that health day in school.
All right. Well, that's all I had.
All right. Let me get out of here.
All right.
Have fun.
See you, Jeff.
Don't be talking to yourself for the next 2 hours.
I'm going to try and keep a 10, 15-minute cap.
You're going to watch this again while editing.
The thing is, I don't. I recorded myself watching it. I don't want to put out a reaction video, but I might like try and take a few clips. Again, this will be.
I need to see like. You better not be fake too. I'm gonna be able to see if it's a fake reaction. You're like, "Oh shit!"
No, you'll know.
Like that's not how you react.
I know, you'll know.
All right, I'm signing off. I'll see ya. Bye. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, now that he's gone. Thanks for joining, Nelson. If you're at this last part, this is if you've read Fire and Blood. I'm going to be talking about things that are going to happen in the future of House of the Dragons. Again, I don't know everything that's going to happen because I've only read Fire and Blood. I haven't seen anything. But from a Fire and Blood perspective, I know everything from Fire and Blood. I'm going to be talking about all of that. Firstly, I love what they did with the Daemon thing. I don't know if Jeff actually agrees with me or not, but Daemon 100% did that on purpose. He wanted Rhaenyra to be heir, so he did that on purpose. He didn't want it. That smirk was because he didn't actually want the Iron Throne. He's helping his girl Rhaenyra. It's as simple as that. And that scene, because of that scene at the end with him going in to see Viserys, and he's like, "I'm your heir." In my mind, he's coaxing that reaction out of Viserys, and he gets exactly what he wants. But like, he doesn't want Viserys to be that angry, and he's kind of hurt by Viserys' reaction towards him. At least that's the way I see it. I think he nailed that. But the other thing is, I think he's working with the Strong. What's his name? Lionel Strong. He's the guy who doesn't talk much on the council. He has 6 links of a Maester chain. He went to the Citadel. People think he's stupid because he doesn't talk much, but he's like pulling strings. He has a son who's a commander in the Gold Cloaks. And his other son is a confessor, which is a torturer who becomes the Master of Whispers on the Green Council, but is probably working for the Blacks. This is Larry's the Clubfoot, who's probably not a Clubfoot because when he dies, his Clubfoot goes missing. I'm all over the place. So that guy, I think what they did to make all this work and make sense with Fire and Blood is make Daemon work with the Strong, which is why the Strong kind of stands up for Daemon when they're talking about succession. Daemon's overhearing this. It makes sense of how he gets the Strong to report for him to Otto about what he said in the brothel so that this happens. Like the Strong inside connect. I don't know. I think he's working with the Strongs. I think Daemon's working with the Strongs, and that's how all this makes sense. Because in the Fire and Blood makes it seem like Daemon didn't want that to get out. Here, because he did want that to get out, yes, Harwin Strong was the one to do it, but because he's friends with Daemon. I guess like because he was working with Daemon, which again, this makes... I'm going to have to think about everything, how that relates to how when Harwin Strong starts being with Rhaenyra. Like Damon's probably going to be cool with that if they're friends with him. Also, Christian Cole. I'm going to leave Christian Cole because he goes off in the tournament. That's a next time thing. I could probably make some predictions about him. The big thing is what's up with him and Rhaenyra. I think he seems like he's all for Rhaenyra. Like she seems interested, but he seems like he's like, okay, what's up, my lady? Yo, eyebrows. And who knows? Like he's from nowhere. How could he plan on being named a Kingsguard? Unless he is like wooing Rhaenyra first. So how about this? Maybe he woos Rhaenyra to get in tight with the council, gets named a Kingsguard, and he's like, this is what I wanted. Fuck you. Like he uses her to get there. Who knows? Guess. And that's why there's a falling out. There's my theory. Because it sounds as good as anything. There might be something I'm forgetting that's the reason that can't happen. I'm all over the place. I'm so excited. This thing is so awesome. Let me think. Mysaria, Damon's girl, I'm pretty sure, again, we don't get much about her in the books, so like they can really do whatever. I don't care too much. I'm pretty sure she was a Lysine dancing girl. I don't know if we ever know she's a whore. We know she's like his concubine, which means they're like hooking up, but we don't know that she's necessarily a whore. She seems to be a straight up madam in this, like runs a brothel, which is cool. I'm excited to see what they do with her. Like, again, I was telling Jeff before, like, the whole like thing from the trailer with her with the dragon egg, like that's like a 3-sentence thing in House of the Dragon or in Fire and Blood. Like Daemon takes the egg, Viserys like give it back. He does so like what's the book say? Like in a way that's like not graceful, but that's all it really says. It looks like there's gonna be dragons involved here, so that's cool. I guess the last thing, keep this short, is again the timeline is messed up. I'll have to think more about the timeline. But Corlys Velaryon, I think he might have a problem with Viserys naming his daughter. I think by the time that, and maybe I'm totally wrong, by the time Rhaenyra gets named heir in the books, is Corlys even on the council anymore? I'm not sure. He leaves because he's angry about something. I forget why he leaves. But here, if he's still in the council when she gets named heir, he might be upset because like, wow, you're really going to pick a precedent that's basically the exact opposite of the president that fucked over my wife. He seems very pro his wife. Also, there's 2 Baratheons. They said the Baratheon boys. Here they said the Baratheon that got beat in the tournament by Christian Cole was, I'll have to look in my notes and see who that was, if it says who Christian Cole beat. I know he beat both of the Cargill twins, I think, in that tournament. But Borman Baratheon, because I have this whole problem with Borman Baratheon being his uncle, but the book says Rhaenys his uncle, but the book says a great uncle. I'm off on a tangent. I'm all over the place. Yeah, Corlys seems cool so far. Again, I filmed my reaction to this, but I don't know if I want to put it up. It's not really what I do. I'll probably keep doing it if there's any huge moments. Maybe I'll put them up as clips or something, but we'll see. Maybe I'll compile everything and put it up as a Nelson reacts to at the end of the season. But thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next one on the next podcast. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.